listening to Randrews Live, the podcast with your host, Randy Andrews. On this podcast, we're all about the music and the stories. Each episode, Randy takes different music tracks and puts them to the stories and events of our everyday lives. It's like building a soundtrack to your life and then rock out to it. But it's not just about the tunes. We also bring out guests to share their stories, and we'll give you a behind-the-scenes look into the life of a full-time entertainer. From the sold-out shows to the green rooms, we're here to take you on a wild ride. So grab your headphones and get ready to jam. Here's your host, Randy Andrews.
How's it going, everyone? It's time for another episode of Randrews Live, the podcast, with me, Randy Andrews, and I have a very special guest with me today. Big question is, what do coffee, branding, and creative ideas have in common? They're all loved by ideas, marketing, and course creation strategist Linda Reed-Enever. Linda Reed-Enever is an ideas, marketing, and course creation strategist with a passion for educating others. As the principal director for the Enever Group, founder of networking community business, and a Thinkific, is that correct, Linda?
Yep.
Thinkific approved course creation expert. She works with business and individuals to find their point of difference, perfect their image, and build their profile in the public domain. In addition to establishing numerous successful businesses of her own, Linda has helped countless others carve out a niche, depending on where you want to pronounce it at and how you want to say it.
Which country you're in.
Niche or niche through innovative marketing strategies, public relations, course creation, social media, marketing, automation, and branding. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Linda Reed-Enever as my special guest today. Linda, how is it going?
It is amazing. We are in the first official day back in January, and though my official days don't kick in until next week, but I am absolutely excited and happy to be here and to talk about how music actually impacts the retention strategies and the learning and all of those sorts of things, and the role that music plays within education and even within marketing. So, it's a case of when we market our businesses, you've got music and education strategies from there that will help you be able to retain your message and have your branding. And there's a big role in music. So when Randy put out a post saying, hey, I want people to talk about the impact of music on daily life, I'm like, let me come talk about this one. Perfect. As well.
Lynn, I was excited when you first messaged me back saying, hey, I'm interested. And then you dropped that you're down in Australia. I was like, didn't realize the podcast is going to go global so quick. So I'm really excited for you. Linda did share with me before we jumped on, give you guys a little behind the scenes sneak peek. Linda dropped on that there's a nice little hail that hit her home, your county, city, where
city.
But she shared some awesome pictures, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to post those pictures up with this podcast link when we're ready, because she took this really awesome looking picture, and I think it's kind of hauntingly beautiful, being the part of having to deal with the hail, but it's a really nice picture. So
and
awesome.
It was a freak nature event here because we're in summer here in Australia. So we might get heavy rain, but we don't normally get ice and snow and all of those sorts of things like we had last night, which was really weird and really interesting. But, at the same time, it was very calming to listen to that heavy hail come through and watch it happen around us. And, we had kids bouncing on the trampolines with hail around them. It was good fun. It was genuinely good fun.
Nice. Awesome. So Linda, I'm going to let you kind of take the reins and just let us know. First off, I want to plug your business because you have a lot going on. I know we talked, you have a couple of podcasts out there. Let everyone know, where did you get your start? What was kind of the concept, the mindset behind everything? And then I'm just going to let you take off running and we'll have a conversation.
He asked where did I get my start. Okay, so I'm a trained teacher by trade. I absolutely went through teaching, and I can teach primary school children and little children how to do what they need to do, like tie their shoelaces, do all of those sorts of things. But while I was training to teach, I found the world of marketing, and I fell in love with the world of marketing because I grew up in a small country town where your options, become a teacher, become a nurse, do all of those sorts of things. but there really wasn't this world of marketing, and that's what I found, and that's what I loved. And I really did love all of those things from that point of view of us being able to grow and do what we needed to do. But of course, the teacher has always been in me. So we always talk about educational strategies when it comes to marketing. We talk about how to build your business and do things in different ways. So when my daughter was born, we started our first publication-based website. And our publication-based website at that stage was a parenting site. And it was under my husband's words, that if you don't like what you're seeing on the television station, do something about it or change the channel. So I did something about it. We created a whole site for parenting that was supportive and all of those sorts of things. But I had a marketing background, and I was known for what I had within that marketing background and known for those sorts of things. So we came back and we've done other ventures along the way, like business, which now is in its ninth. It'll hit its ninth year on the 14th of February. Which is a business community for small business owners where we help people. And the motto of that site is learn, connect, network, and do. And it's got its own website, but the Facebook groups where most of it happens. So I'll include the link so that Randy can share it with you, the podcast. And from there, I came back to teaching. I came back to teaching business owners, our community, how to do marketing and how to do all of those sorts of things. So we found Thinkific in lots of ways, and we tried all the platforms out, and being a business publication, we get to try lots of platforms out on a regular basis now. So we went, okay, well, what are we going to do here? Where are we going to teach? How do we teach? And we started with Thinkific, and I started with the Thinkific team when they were a smaller organization, a team of 6, and it was great. It was the platform that gave me the closest experience to a classroom environment, and I really loved it. And that then led me to being a Thinkific approved expert, and us founding, in 2020, we launched the Course Creators Circle, which is a community for teaching people how we run course creation, and we do our podcasts and all of those sorts of things. So it's been a big couple of years for us since my daughter was born, 13 years ago. So this is where it all started. 13 years ago, I stopped consulting, but I've always been a consultant, not an employee.
Perfect. So I'm going to pause you real quick. So I want to throw something that's a nice deep history. And I want you to take your transition from teacher to your husband saying, hey, let's change the TV channel. Let's not watch what we're currently on. Let's do something different. So I'm going to put you in the hot seat real quick. I want you to take that moment. If we were watching this as a movie and your husband says that, all of a sudden a song just cues up, soundtrack hits. And I want you to put what you think would be the perfect song to drop right there in that moment. It's kind of like a little movie montage.
It's kind of like a movie montage. Well, I'll give you the song that I was listening to at that point in time. And it's the song that I still listen to when I go out on stage. So Tim McGraw has a song called How Bad Do You Want It? And when we were creating this site, I didn't have the corporate teams and all of that sort of stuff that we used to have. And I'd hit the word no. So no, you can't do that. I'm like, you seriously do not know my personality well. You tell me no, I'll find a way. And we just continually went through. And How Bad Do You Want It was the song. And every time I got a little bit frustrated with it, it was like, how bad do I want it? How bad do I actually want this to happen? It's the song that I will quite often listen to before I get up on stage if I'm wanting to talk about something, and my ego's, getting in the way, my ego of self-doubt's getting in the way, going, no, you can't do that. I'm like, no, yeah, I can. And it's just a reminder about anything we want to do in business, anything we want to do in life comes down to how bad do we want it? Because if we want it bad enough, we will go out and we will put it together and we will achieve it. So that was the song that I was listening to back in 2009. And I went, yep, okay, I can do this.
Perfect.
And it's the song that still motivates me today to get out and do what we need to do.
Nice. So if you are listening to this podcast and you want to grab a quick listen of Tim McGraw, How Bad Do You Want It? I'm going to hit it for you right here on Spotify. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you jump down to the comment section, and it's going to be listed there under the description in the comment section. That way you guys get a taste of it, and maybe it'll pump you up and motivate you just like it did Linda. So go ahead and take a listen to Tim McGraw, How Bad Do You Want It? Linda, we're going to keep plugging away here. There's we just hit the tip of the iceberg, and let's continue the train going. So what's up next for us?
What's up next? Okay, well, when Randy and I first spoke about coming onto this podcast, we were speaking about the benefits of music when it comes to your education or comes to your course creation and all of those sorts of things. Now, I work with lots of course creators who are a little bit scared about getting in front of camera, a little bit scared about teaching other people, a little bit scared about things. And this comes from, and in the course creator circle, we've got a thing about understanding your learning style. And the reason the learning styles are really, really important is there's two things. No, and then people say, oh, they're old, they don't exist anymore. Learning styles have moved along. But learning styles allow us to embrace our students' our biases for learning, how that we can make the opportunities to understand how we're going to go through. But in our learning styles, there's a couple of things music does. So music will motivate us. Okay, so by being able to get up and get excited about something, music can motivate you to create that course, do that video. You know, you heard me mention before, how bad do you want it? Well, you know, listening to that song, get yourself pumped up, get yourself in the zone. It can also help you go through editing where you've got to hear your voice 100 times over as you edit the video or the course, and you're going, oh God, do I sound like that? But it can go through that point of view. But it can also, depending on those times where you don't want to go on camera, you can use amazing tools like Lumen 5 and those to be able to create text over video, where it's a very text heavy subject, but if you're putting it with music, that can be retained, and you can use that little text over video to help the retention rate of the students. When I was teaching, I was working with children at that point in that time. We call them high needs. I'm not exactly sure what they call them these days, where learning wasn't natural for them. They didn't just absorb themselves in a book. They didn't absorb themselves in the classroom. But what we saw was when we gave them things to play with or to fiddle with or music to listen to, their retention rate increased. And, you know, lots of people would say that was distraction. But it wasn't. It was just allowing the information to pass through in a different way. So if you're an auditory learner from point of view, you want to hear written, you want to hear spoken word, you want to have video and music cues that relate to the content that you're trying to learn. So when we're creating not only our course, not only our pieces, we want to make sure that we've got a mix of marketing, a mix of video, a mix of text, a mix of reading opportunity in there. Even with podcasts, when we create our podcasts, you know, we've got our show reel that, you know, is that brand tone and that stamp of, okay, I know whose podcast is coming up next in my feed because I've heard that intro, I've heard that connection. And it's all part of that branding and that connection to human, because that's what we're working with. You know, with all the rise of AI, yes, it's all fantastically great as a foundation point, but it's that human to human connection. I've been watching 2.5 Men with my daughter.
Okay.
We went back and we started from the first series of 2.5 Men.
Ooh,
do you know
right.
2.5 Men, as they go on series by series, the song changes?
No,
so the first one is Alan and Charlie by himself. The second one, they introduce little Jake singing the song, and the song changes.
I didn't know.
And as the second season kicked in, she goes, I don't like the song anymore. But she loved it first season.
Honestly, that I never picked up on it, but now that I'm looking back at it, you're right. It's and then when Ashton Kutcher jumps in, I don't know if spoiler if you haven't made it that far, but but once you get to that point, he jumps in too. That's so bringing up the different styles of learning. So Linda did share a link with me. I'm going to post it in the description for us. That way you guys have that opportunity to find out what style of learning you are. In hypnosis, when I was learning with sports psychology and performance psychology, or even when I get on the stage, I try to figure out what type of listener or I try to get a feel. It's essentially what type of learner they are, whether it's auditory, kinesthetic, or visual. And one little trick that I've used, and you can kind of back me up or call my bluff or just say, no, Randy, you're wrong. I'll take it. When I'll ask someone a quick personal question, like, hey, tell me about a memory of something that really stands out to you and give me as many details as you can. And I don't want to have these backwards, so you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Linda. If they're auditory, they're going to look side to side because they're going to remember what they've heard. I always remember that in ears. If when they're talking, if they're trying to remember what they saw, they're looking up to the left, if I remember correctly.
Possibly, or they close their eyes because they might actually visually.
Yep, and then if they're kinesthetic, they're usually looking down.
Yep. And if they're kinesthetic, they'll move their hands at the same time.
Yep, and that's their way of kind of feeling the situation. Remember what maybe it's sand between their toes. Maybe it's a cool breeze that hit the back of their neck at the wrong time. You get kind of getting chills and goosebumps. But that's one way that I use it. It's just a quick tool that I've used on stage and when I'm in the office working with clients. So
it's such a great way to being able to gain where your learners are at. And especially nowadays, we've got a mix, and COVID-19 brought this out even more, of the social learner. So the social learner will quite often be a mix of all of those styles, but then they'll bring in the opportunity if they need to bounce off each other. And that's actually quite normal. That's how classroom environments work and all of those sorts of things.
Nice.
But it's that bouncing off each other. And a social learner may not be an extrovert. They quite often will be an introvert, but they need to hear and they need to watch things bounce off each other. And that's why, if you can include some music or some songs or some videos or some things that they can watch along the way, that brings them a social, especially when we're talking evergreen courses, for people to be able to connect with really, really well as well. But yeah, looking at, Randy summed it up, learning styles don't just apply to who you're teaching. They apply to how someone receives your marketing message. They apply to the stage that you've got in front of you. They apply to the team of people that you've got working for you. And once you work out how they work, it's incredibly powerful for you to be able to communicate in the right way to those people. And the best leaders are those who actually can chameleon in lots of ways into what's there. And I suppose that brings me to my next point on course creation.
I'm going to pause you right there because I'm going to have you throw out a song right there. I'm going to ask you. Yeah. So this is the fun part for me. I want you to think about a song. First off, do you know your learning style? Which one kind of suits you?
I'm a big chameleon, but I flex. But I am definitely most probably more of the kinesthetic, the tactile, get in there and do that type of learner, thrown in with the social. I want to pull it apart and see how it works.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of what you think would be the perfect song that sums up. Let's say if you want to pull something apart. If I said, Linda, I got this computer here for you. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I think you might know what's wrong with it. And you don't want to say, no, Randy, I don't want to. I want you to think of yourself tearing apart a computer, maybe fixing something real hands-on, kinesthetically, and a song that would be playing in the background that would just kind of sum up what you're trying to do or give you those feelings.
I'm going to actually say it's most probably not summing up what I'm trying to do, but when I go and I work on something, there's a song by No Doubt called Spiderwebs. So I'm walking in the spiderweb, leave a message and call me back. Like, I'm doing stuff, don't talk to me.
I love it.
And that's when I'm learning something or I'm taking something new on, I'm walking in the spiderwebs, leave a message and I'll call you back eventually, maybe.
Yeah.
If it's interesting enough.
I love it. So I'm going to be honest with you, Linda. You've thrown a couple songs at me that I've never heard. I know No Doubt and I know Tim McGraw. I haven't done a deep enough dive into their catalog to I guess really appreciate these. So I'm going to be listening to these songs to see.
I was a Tim McGraw and Faith Hill fan before they became popular.
Oh, nice. So my wife and her grandma and I think a couple of their family members, they saw Tim McGraw in concert, and my grandma's claim to fame, or my wife's grandma's claim to fame, to this day, you ask her about it, she says, all I remember about the concert was I came up, I was at the guardrail, he walked by and he pinched my butt. I don't know if that actually happened, but that's her claim to fame. She's going with it.
I'll be taking it.
So what we're going to do, we're going to throw out No Doubt Spiderwebs. It'll be my first listen to it, and I'm going to give you guys my feedback in the comments along with everyone else. So No Doubt Spiderwebs, go ahead and give it a listen if you're on Spotify, and if not, if you're on YouTube, click that link below and go rock out. Let's get kinesthetic and throw some big words out tonight. So Linda, you got your next point. Let's lay it out there.
My next point about learning styles, and especially if you're a course creator or you're a teacher or you're putting your product or your service to market, your learning style and how you learnt has nothing to do with how your students are going to learn. Where you are now, like we talk about podcasts and all of those sorts of things and marketing and building and all of that sort of stuff. And I will take people through the journey of how we produce a podcast now. But what I've got to remember when I teach that stuff is the stuff that's second nature to me, the stuff that is, different, and I hear people say to me all the time, oh, I wouldn't do that. Or my audience won't do that. I didn't do that in my journey. And I'm sorry, but you are not your student. You are not your audience. You are, even if you were your audience 10, 15 years ago, you are not your audience now, because your audience now has different needs. You've progressed, you've learnt different things, and the things that you think are stupid that they don't need to know are the basics that they do need to know. And when we talk about music and retention and learning things, and some of the songs that I've brought up today are literally all about empowering people to have the bits that they need to know.
That's awesome. So I'm going to we're going to rapid fire on this one. Another song coming out for you.
Yay.
That transition. And I know I used to work with an agency. The owner of the agency, he was old school. Even in today's day and age, he refused to do email marketing or social media ads as a means of getting his name out there, trying to book up more acts. Instead, he was old school, pick up the phone, cold call. And the audience, it shifted. It may have worked that way back in the day. And then as technology increased and everything changes over time, the audience also increases on how they're taking in the information, how they're perceiving it, and how to reach them. So I want you to throw out a song that kind of sums up that transition, or that would be a good transition from kind of call it like a time lapse, where you see at the bottom of the screen, like 1940s marketing, 1950s, 1960s, all the way up to current.
Okay, let me touch on the old school thing first. The old school principles still work. It's just about transforming them into the new one and mixing in the new situations and that sort of stuff. Oh, you know what? I don't know the name. Oh, hang on. No, I don't think I can find what I'm talking about, because it's a funny song. If I can find it, I'll send it to Randy later. But it talks about, it's this dad, talking to his teenage son about, what did you do to school today? I don't know. And it was just all very simple one-word answers and one-word conversations. But I think it was probably the transition inside of this. There's an AC/DC song called We Don't Need No Education. Another Brick in the Wall is actually what the name of the song is. I'll bring up my nightclub days and be able to remember what the name of the song is. But it talks about, mainstream education and that sort of stuff. And you don't need that mainstream education. But it's almost so signals the transition that we need to have about from system to system, going through that area. So if we wanted to pick one off the top of my head, another brick in the wall is most probably appropriate. We don't need another brick in the wall, but we actually need foundations and connection.
Yeah. So we're going to throw in
post-production. There we go.
Yeah, Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall. That's what we're going to listen to now. But right now, Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall. Don't need no education to listen to this one. So enjoy it. Click that link on YouTube, or here it is on Spotify. All right, so we're going to be jumping back in with our talk with Ms. Linda here. So Linda, we are covering a lot on marketing, on education, on kind of just the broad spectrum. I want you to throw out what you think our listeners, what you think people need to hear and need to learn, and I'm here for the ride. I'll just be your
here for the ride. Okay.
Car DJ.
Well, I think what you've actually just brought up, Randy, is what I do. What I do is all about storytelling. It's all about connection. It's all about education. And, I talk to people so consistently about this. If you can educate your people, if you can share tips, tricks, do things like we're doing here today with a podcast and having a general conversation about how does this all tie in together, then all of a sudden you've got a more empowered client sitting in front of you, or a more empowered student sitting in front of you, because they've learnt that journey. I pride ourselves here that we have a very low refund rate. And that's because there's enough free content out there that if you want a tire kick with me, feel free, go, you find it. There's enough on YouTube, there's enough on TikTok, there's enough on all those channels that you can find all of that stuff. But what it means is when someone's booked in for a discovery call with me, we're literally at that point in time going, do we fit or don't we fit?
Yep.
Okay, and that's the next point. Because if we don't fit, if you're a coach or you're a course creator and you've got someone who doesn't fit within your community, it is time to just say, bye, I'm not the right fit for you. Do not try and force yourself into those situations. In our business group yesterday, I just did a post, and it's a very grumpy post, which says, let me make this clear for you. If you don't like the way the group is run, no one's forcing you to stay.
That's a good point. Yep.
However, the admin team will continue to run the group the way we have run it for the last 9 years. So,
yep, there's too many of those, too many negative people out there who I think just join groups just to stir up controversy and just sit back and watch the fire burn. And it's life's too short to get into all that. We don't want to have people just tear us down for no reason. But no, that's
great.
Well, and the same thing.
There's too many spaces in online where business owners were getting torn down in a journey that, because I am a serial entrepreneur and I like doing things, I know what the startup phase is quite often, because we do things, we build them, we pull them apart. And I remember what it's like to be, and I keep saying to people, if you want to see something, horrible, go look at the first website I built, Family Capers. I believed everyone that said that it couldn't be all done on one site. So we've got these bits and pieces that were all bunched together and it looked like crap, but we all start somewhere.
Right. So
my first horrible bum of a course, my first course that bombed, but we've got other ones out there. My first bomb course is still live there for people to see why it bombed, because it had too much information in it.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw something at you. And this is, there's a friend of mine. He's a fellow entertainer.
Yep.
And he got started with hypnosis and comedy hypnosis shows after I did. And he went a different route than the, I guess, what's the norm. He went out and he joined a bunch of Facebook expert groups for hypnosis and comedians. And he managed to lock down a few shows here and there. They weren't, glamour shows. It was sometimes no stage, just the floor. But he went out and he recorded everything, sometimes just from his iPhone.
Yep.
And he posted the full video. And he reached out. There's a lot of experts in the group, guys who have been doing this 30, 40 plus years. And he said, here's my show. Can you please critique it, break it down, let me know what I need to work on to grow and improve? And for me, he had a pair on him to go out and do that.
Yeah, that's a very brave person to do that.
And he went in there, and I was sitting in the back just watching him get beat down left and right, taking blows. And it wasn't even constructive criticism. It was, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, you're doing this wrong. And there's no way of fixing it or working with him on it. So I would jump in, I'd give some constructive criticism. But he went out there, he took all that, and then he was watching in the back of what everyone else was doing and thought, I could do this a little better myself. And he never found a good mentor to work with, one-on-one. So kind of where you said it's not a good fit for you, he found his own way to go out and do things. And now he's well surpassed me on social media. He has over 4 million TikTok followers just from going out there, putting himself out there. And he was asking for help. And because of the mentality of those people in those groups, he wasn't able to find that one person that could teach him the ropes, show him this is what we really need to be focusing on. But it sounds like your group, though, is run kind of the right way, where
we kind of do things a little bit different. Like, I'm married to a business strategist as well. So, between the two of us, it's a bit of a...
Ooh, I'd love to come over for dinner and just pick your guys' brain. It's just fun dinner talks for your daughter. It's...
Oh, yeah, no, I've got a 13-year-old who runs her own business too. So Charlotte runs a group called Enever Group Creates, and she does her own upcycle denim jackets, all of those sorts of things,
Oh, that's... If you would, does she have a website? I'm guessing she's got a website.
Yeah. She's got some jackets up that she got stuck without jackets, but she does do a number of stuff like that. And, what you're saying there is what about people not finding the right people or constructive criticism or constructive feedback and all of those sorts of things. When we create whatever we create, and as I said, your mate had a absolute very brave to be able to go and ask for public feedback and that sort of stuff. But when we create and when we do something, it's a very personal journey. And you can do things. And you summed it up really nicely with he did it his way. And then he found his people, and he found his niche, and he found all of those sorts of things. But people were already doing something similar out there, but he added his spin to it. You know, there are hundreds of marketers out there. There are hundreds of marketers inside of our group, and I will continue to let them be hundreds of marketers inside our group, because I know I'm not the right fit for everyone. I know that Clive's not the right fit for every business strategist out there. So the reality of what we do and how we learn and how we educate and how we work with our people is by saying, make an informed choice. See what else they're putting out there. See what information that they're giving you, and make an informed choice. And I love the moment of, no, you can't do it.
Yep.
You know, our Facebook group, I was told at the time, you won't be able to run a group that way. You won't be able to sustain that growth. You won't be able to do that. There's about 4 of us that were standing back in 2000 and, what are we coming up 9 years? So 2014, when we set this up. So there's about 4 of the groups standing that were there, and both of the 2 in Australia that stand out to me are both led by, you know, Tash runs hers very, very well and strong. It's completely different. Why I love participating in a group. It's a completely different demographic to ours in lots of ways. It's a lot more. Yep. And then we've got ours, and there's not a lot of us. And there's people been trying to copy our names, do all of that sort of stuff. You know, I joked a big business group here copied our Facebook group guidelines. And I sent them a message going, hey, if you're going to do it, at least take our name out.
Right, yeah. That's that fine print.
So I'm like, I don't mind that you did it. However, if you aren't going to do it, take our name out. So by people are screenshotting, sending it to me.
Yeah. So I want to throw something else your way.
Yeah.
We're freezing a little bit, so we'll check on that. But here we go. So you struck on something when you said that when someone tells you no, like, I want you to, that mentality that like, no, you can't do it. You're not going to be qualified. You can't handle this. When that hits, when someone tells me that there's multiple songs, depending on who's talking and what level of irritating.
That first song we spoke about, because that's exactly it.
Really?
How bad do you want it? So no. So like no isn't okay. Let's talk about it from a business and a sales point of view. The sale doesn't start until someone says no. Okay, because up until then they're agreeing with you, and the people that are going yes.
Okay.
Aren't the person who's going to buy from you. You want the person that turns around and goes, no, I don't think that'll work, or what would happen about this, or once you've got the first no, you've got engagement.
Yep.
The person who agrees with you is not engaging with you. The person who agrees with you is nodding their head and going along and waiting for this process to end.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, I've done sales before, and I've never looked at it that way. The way I was always taught was the sale starts as soon as you sit down. As soon as someone walks in your door, that's when the sale starts. Which it makes sense if you look at it from like, well, that they initiated, when they saw your ad or they heard you on the radio or whatever, or they interacted with someone in Facebook.
In a retail environment, yes.
Yeah. But even in our perspective, if someone comes out and sees my show, the sale could technically start there. It plants the seed. But I like your perspective. I like the way you phrase that the sale doesn't start till someone says no, because we wouldn't have any engagement until that point. It's just, it's us, it's me talking, it's you liking a post, it's you listening. But until someone actually interacts, you get that engagement. I like that. So I'm going to flip this. We're going to get rid of that song because we already have that. So instead of the no, because we already know what that is for Linda, we're going to change it up. I want you to give me a song that I just had a good one here for you. I want you to give me a song that it's as soon as someone engages with you, like you're off to the races, you're like, okay, let's do this.
Okay. If they engage in the right person, Black Eyed Peas get this party started. Because if I've got engagement from the right person, this is where my accounts team and everyone sit in and they go, Linda, stop quoting under what you should quote and stick to your prices, because I'll get excited on the project. I'm like, right, let's go. Let's get this baby started. Let's get this party started. But once we've got engagement, once we've got the right person, it is all of that. But we can get this party started in the wrong way too, because you can quite often, and this is where we talk about social media and Facebook groups, there'll be people that will come up against against you. And funnily enough, we had this conversation. It was really weird on TikTok. I'd done a video about AI automations and things that people need to consider about not losing their brand tone and voice, because obviously, there's the rise of automation tools for writing your copy for you and all of those sorts of things. But there's some dangers that, you've got to look at as well. So this person's telling me it can do all of this and it can do all of that, blah, 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 blah. And I went and looked at the profile and I'm like, okay, I got 21 years in this game. This person's still at uni. This is interesting. But no, I went back and I said, okay, in our experience, we've been testing these AI tools for over 5 years now. This is what we found and blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I put experience behind the "you're wrong" post and what we found and why we liked AI tools, but why you needed to still have human interaction, all of a sudden those comments disappeared.
It's weird.
So it's like a case of I'm going to still fight, but I'm not prepared to back my fight up. With a series of things. So when we talk about getting the party started, and I've done that before, I'll be out there and I'll see people teaching what I call the wrong way of marketing, so I talk about not viral. You mentioned your mate has surpassed you in followers. My next question of that is, though, are they engaging? Because a rather large following base means bugger all to anyone if they don't engage, they don't comment, they don't like, they don't watch. I teach business owners who say, I want a viral video. Why? Because afterwards, that's a whole heap of noise we're going to have to cut through to find out you're on normal people. We want an engaged video, not a viral video. We want an engaged social media post, not a viral social media post.
I like that. No, that makes a lot of sense there. And and honestly, I throw a post out there on Facebook and Instagram about my 2022 wrap up. I'm a slow processor. It takes me a few moments. I fully sit back and just soak everything in. But I threw it out there that one of the bads for me, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, it could have been worked on, was I fell off on content creation. I fell off on engagement. And I left people on red. And I don't want to do that. My goal is, it's social networking at a core. And I want to engage. I want to network with people. And that's why I started this podcast, was because I wanted to not only get my message out there, but I want to talk to people, and I wanted to know what everyone else is interested in, what everyone else is pushing out in the world. And your song actually kind of ties in with that perfectly for what I got going on. So we're going to let the listeners take a listen to Black Eyed Peas. Let's get it started. Again,
and that's what it is. It's all about that.
Yeah, it's perfect. So we're gonna let that play out, and then we'll be right back with some more. All right, so we are back with Linda, and Linda, we're gonna start wrapping things up. But before we do, I definitely need you to plug everything you got going on.
Oh my God!
You got some podcasts, you got some content, you got some awesome some courses out there. Whatever you need to plug away, go for it. And I'm going to be taking notes.
Let's get into a little bit of a quick little Linda spiel plug type situation. So Randy mentioned before that one of his bads was not following through on his marketing, his engagement, his social media. So one of the tools that I have is the marketing planner, and it's a physical planner. Actually, I can grab it from behind me. There we go. That's what I prepared earlier. But it's a physical based planner, guys, that actually makes you go through the journey, includes workflows, includes statistic trackers, but it actually makes you think about what are your quarter one goals, what are your lead magnet. So this thing here, the lead magnet, we need those. We'll go to the right page. Lead magnet, we need those to make sure that we're attracting people through to our list to talk about marketing, but even from social media. And it's actually got a QR code each and every month, which has a small individual course that will take you through and help you market your business. And the aim of that is, don't ask me for it digitally, because, the teacher in me says, no, there's a reason you pen and paper based plan, then take it into the tools that you're going through from in that area, is because you actually get a physical mind to brain connection, body to brain connection. And a goal that you write down on pen and paper, you are 10 times more likely to achieve than one you put in a computer or a database or a program or a system. So that is a big one. So if you take nothing away from today, get some music that motivates you, put in a nice list, whether it's, some classical music if you want to do it that way, or whatever you're looking at, put the music on that motivates you and write your goals down, because you're going to tap into two powerful connections and learning styles. You're going to have the recall from the music. So when you listen to those songs, you'll have the recall for those goals, but you'll also have the mind-body connection of the pen and paper and writing things down and getting it all together. And it works really, really well. Like even when we course creation plan, we do it with post-it notes here on the wall and music playing, and we start to work out what it's going to be so that we can put it all together, and it just works well. Just have it pumping. Okay, so promo post from me. So there's Randy's solution to his marketing bad. He can, start to plan his marketing.
I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna post that out with the with all this content, all the good links you have.
Yep.
That the link that you sent me for that planner. Is it cool if I share that with everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. So it's on Amazon, and it can be got from my website as well.
It might help me level the playing field with everyone else around. But yeah, I'm here to help, and I don't see it as I don't see business as we have enemies and we have adversaries, because we do. We all work within similar spaces. Some of us do, but I see it as whatever you're doing, it's going to help me. It's going to gain more awareness for everything. So, we're going to throw that out there. So go for it. What you got next?
My next one that most probably helps, and we don't actually have adversaries in this place. So I have a membership called the Marketing Circle. The Marketing Circle is where you get access to all my online courses, but you also get to come pick my brain about marketing each month. You get to do how-to sessions, so things like Google Analytics, Search Console. We're talking about all of that stuff right now because it's trendy and it hits us here in 2023 to make sure that we have. And everyone who's not listening, please take the 5 minutes to go and make sure that you connect your websites to the new Google Analytics 4 so that it's got enough time to get the data research before we lose the user experience, which is the old Google Analytics. And for those panicking, it's not the first time Google's changed their tracking system. We've done this a number of times. We can cope. And it's actually a really quick and simple, easy move across if you need to do it. But the Marketing Circle is all of those courses, all of those opportunities. It's where I love to spend my time. But I have marketers in the Marketing Circle learning marketing from me.
Perfect.
And it's fine. I've got other people say to me, oh, why do you let marketers in your Marketing Circle? I'm like, I got 21 years in this game.
Yeah.
Why not learn from me? I have no problem in sharing where it is, and I refer work to those guys because sometimes they specialize in an area more than I do.
Yeah.
And the same situation. So that's the other one. And then if you're wanting to build an online course or you're wanting to create an online course, jump into the Course Creator Circle. Now, if you're a Marketing Circle member, you actually get both. So you get Course Creator Circle and the Marketing Circle membership as part of it. But if course creation is the other thing you want to do, feel free to be able to jump in and do that. And you know what, Randy? If you're cool with it, I will give you a coupon code for your members later on today.
Oh, perfect. I think I'm good with it, and I think the listeners are going to love it too. So yeah, definitely share that away.
I will give them a coupon code that will take 20% off any Marketing Circle membership that they want to have a look at today. So
perfect. So
actually, just go with, we'll make the coupon code RAndrewsLive. So there you go.
Nice.
I will set all of that up for your listeners later.
All right.
I'll set all that up for your listeners later on today. God, that voice has disappeared on me.
Awesome. What else you got to plug for us? Or are you ready for your final challenge of a song?
Oh, look, there's lots of stuff happening here in Australia for Australian listeners. If you want to come to workshops this year, feel free to. However, jump into business. I mean, Randy's going to jump on a plane and start coming over to use content planning and his all this engagement.
I'm going to come buy a house. We're going to be best friends.
But these are the relationships that you have. Okay, I'm going to leave our listeners with one final thing before you throw a challenge with me today.
Yeah.
We are in 2023. We've got a brand new year. We've come out of COVID situations. We've come out of lockdowns. We've come out of lots of situations. Your marketing this year will be different to previous years. So when you start to review your insights, you start to review things, take into effect the last 2 years, we've had a market that's been at home 90% of the time. The market is now starting to be out there and doing things and engaging. So they're looking for different things. This is the year, if you've not done it already, to deliver your content in short form, in podcasts, in ways that it can be consumed in between life. They no longer have 30 minutes to watch a video or do all of those sorts of things. You've got to give them something they can consume while they're on the go. So a mix of music or a mix of short form pieces that they can take on is really, really handy. So this is the to up your short form game.
Nice. I love it. And that's the reason why the Rangers Live podcast is perfect on Spotify is because our attention span, it's not always quite there, 7 to 8 minutes at a time. So that's why we interrupt with some songs. We get you a little bit of info here. We hit you with a song. We re-engage you. And that was the kind of the thought process behind this. I know I've got a lot of squirrel moments in my day. So we throw it out there. So Lynn, I love that. Up your short game, everybody. Up that short game.
And you'll have a bit of fun with it.
So here we go. Final challenge for you. So I have 3 daughters at home, and one of my favorite things I love to do is embarrass them. And I do my absolute best to. I need to update my game a little bit on that. Because it's my tactic, so I got to hit them with a surprise every now and then. But one of my favorite things to do, I go and I pick them up from school when I can, and I roll up and I blast a song from my car. And it's at their elementary school. I get out and I start dancing. One time I got them real good. I dressed up as I had a Benjamin Franklin costume on, and I had a big old bald spot, long gray hair, bifocal glasses, colonial style garb, and I was out there dancing. It was like a hip hop song. I don't remember what the song was, but I want you to drop a song on us if you were to do that. If you were to dress as a character, just get out there and just blast a song.
It's an easy one.
Yeah. What you got?
I Wish I Was a Punk Rocker by Sandy Thom.
Ooh, okay.
Because I would dress up as the hippie. And quite happily be dancing around as a punk rocker with flowers in my hair.
I got to throw that one up there for our listeners here, because that is, I make sure I spell it correctly. That's a good one.
It's a really good song.
So, Sandy, I wish, you know what? You just helped me update my embarrassment playlist for my kids when I pick them up from school. They won't be able to hear this until I do it.
So you're going as a punk rocker?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who wants photos, guys? Who wants photos? Upvote now that you want some photos.
We'll get out there. I'll film a TikTok of getting ready, and then we'll do a before, a during, and an after, and I'll get a first-person perspective for you. We're gonna have some fun with this.
Up your short form game. There you go.
Just like that. It's as easy as asking, "What song would you embarrass your kid with?" and listening to a friend. That's all it takes. So. We're going to end this podcast pretty quick here. Sandy Thom, is it Thom? Sandy Thom?
Sandy Thom, yep.
Yep. I Wish I Was a Punk Rocker. Check it out. We're going to listen to it, and we're going to come on back. All right, that's going to do it for our podcast here on Randrews Live, the podcast. Linda Reed-Enever, thank you so much. I had a blast talking with you. I learned a lot. I've got some products that I need to go out and buy now. And I got to book a couple plane tickets to Australia. Come out and hang out with you.
Yeah, come out and play.
Awesome. Any final thoughts for the listeners? And going to go from there.
Final thought for your listeners. Stop getting in your own way and get your content out there. Your audience is waiting to hear a message from you, and you will only let one person down by not sharing your knowledge, sharing your content, and sharing your education. And that is not yourself. That is the person that needs you to help them go to that next level.
Perfect. Love it. All right, here we go. Thank you so much for tuning to Rangers Live, the podcast. And until next time.
This episode of Randrews Live, the podcast. We hope you had as much fun listening as we did making it. Thanks for tuning in on this journey through the music and stories. Don't forget to hit subscribe and find us on all social media platforms at Randrews Live. From there, you can stay up to date on all the latest episodes. And if you have any comments, questions, or ideas for future episodes, hit us up. We love hearing from our listeners. Until next time, keep on rocking, and we'll see you soon.